Hi, I'm Dr. Kim, the insulin resistance doctor, and this is my foundation series, question 1 from the 1-minute insulin resistance quiz. Why you can't lose weight even when you're doing everything right. The topic we will discuss today revolves around weight loss resistance and insulin resistance. You eat well, you exercise, you're doing what your doctor told you to do, and the scale doesn't move. Or worse, you're actually gaining weight even though nothing about your habits have changed. If that's you, I want you to stay with me for the next few minutes because I'm going to tell you something that most doctors never explain. It's probably not your thyroid, and it's probably not your willpower, and it's absolutely not your fault. The answer may be sitting in a lab number that nobody ever ordered for you, and today we're going to talk about what that number is and why it matters more than your blood sugar ever will. Before I go any further, I created a free quiz called the 1-minute insulin resistance quiz, and this video is actually based on question 1 of that quiz. The quiz asks you 10 yes or no questions about symptoms you may have right now, and it takes about 1 minute. And when you're done, you can send me an email on your symptoms and the results, and I will personally send you a breakdown of what your score means and which lab numbers are worth asking your doctor about. The link is in the description below. Take it after you watch this or open it now and come back. Either way, we're going to talk about it. Question 1 on the quiz says, I struggle to lose weight even when I eat well and exercise consistently. Circle yes or no. That sounds simple, but here's what the question is really asking underneath the surface. It's asking whether your metabolism is responding normally to the inputs you're giving it. When you eat less and move more, your body is supposed to respond. Insulin drops, fat gets released for fuel, and weight comes off. That's the basic design. But in insulin resistance, that system is broken, and the frustrating part is most people have no idea their system is broken because their fasting blood sugar looks perfectly fine on a standard lab panel. You can have completely normal blood sugar and still have significant insulin resistance. I've seen it hundreds of times in 40 years of clinical practice. So here's the physiology, and I'm going to make it as clear as I possibly can. Insulin is a fat storage hormone, and when you eat, especially carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises, your pancreas releases insulin, and insulin tells your cells to take that glucose in for energy. That's the normal process, and it works beautifully when your cells are sensitive to insulin. But when cells become resistant, meaning they stop responding well to insulin's signals, the pancreas has to pump out more insulin to get the same job done. More insulin, more, and more. And here's the thing about high insulin. It is the most powerful fat-storing hormone in the human body. High insulin locks the door to your fat cells. It says, we are storing fat, and we are refusing to burn fat. So when your insulin is chronically elevated, which happens in insulin resistance, it doesn't matter how little you eat or how much you exercise. Your body is metabolically locked into storage mode. You're fighting your own biochemistry, and you will lose that fight every single time, not because you're weak, but because the underlying problem was never addressed properly. On the functional medicine side, we check function, not just medicate the numbers. And what is the lab number that tells us whether this is happening? It's called fasting insulin, not fasting blood sugar, fasting insulin. These are two completely different tests, and the one that catches this problem the earliest is fasting insulin, and it's almost never ordered on a standard lab blood panel. Now let me take this one layer deeper because this is where it gets really useful. There is a calculation called HOMA-IR, and I'm going to spell it. It's HOMA-IR, and it stands for Homeostatic Model Assessment of Insulin Resistance. It sounds complicated, but it's not. Go get your most recent blood draw results and take your fasting insulin number and your fasting glucose number and multiply them together. Then divide that number by 405. That gives you what's called your HOMA-IR number. A HOMA-IR number under 1 is ideal. Under 2 is generally considered normal. But when I see someone with a HOMA-IR of 2.5, 3, 4 or more, and their weight is stuck even though they've done everything right, that number tells me exactly what we're dealing with. And the critical point is this. We can have this conversation years before blood sugar ever becomes a problem. That's the window. That's when intervention actually works. Your doctor may have told you your blood sugar is normal, and it may be. Blood sugar often is the last number to change. Insulin starts climbing long before blood glucose does. So if your weight isn't responding the way it should, and you answered yes to question 1 on the quiz, fasting insulin and HOMA-IR, these are 2 numbers I'd want to see. Here's the good news, and I mean this genuinely. Insulin resistance is not a life sentence. It's a metabolic state that can be reversed. I've watched many people do it. I've helped patients and clients do it, and it requires the right information and the right strategy, but it is absolutely reversible. So the first step is just knowing. Knowing this is what might be happening, knowing what questions to ask, knowing which labs to request. So let me give you some starting points. Number 1, ask your doctor to run a fasting insulin level at your next visit. Not just a fasting glucose specifically, fasting insulin. Some doctors will order it readily, others won't unless you ask them directly. Number 2, if you can get both fasting insulin and fasting glucose done or drawn, then with those numbers you can calculate your own HOMA-IR. The formula is simple. Fasting insulin times fasting glucose divided by 405 equals HOMA-IR. Number 3, pay attention to when your weight resistance started. Was it gradual or did it happen over many years? Did it start after a period of high stress, poor sleep, or a big dietary change? These are patterns that matter, and they give us clues. Number 4, take the quiz, because the 10 questions on the quiz map to 10 different ways insulin resistance shows up in the body. Your total score tells us a lot about what's likely happening underneath. And number 5, here's something I started recommending to my clients and patients that made a real difference for them. Print out a few copies of your quiz results, not just one. Take the quiz today, print it, and set a reminder to take it in a month, and then again in 3 months. I had a client do this recently, and it became one of the most motivating things she did in her whole process. She could physically see her yes answers turning into no answers over time, and that's proof in her own handwriting that the changes she was making were actually working long before the scale caught up. Your body changes gradually. Your quiz score changes over time, and it will show you the progress along the way that's easy to miss day to day. I want you to pause here, and I want you to remind you to go take the quiz one more time, because I think it's genuinely useful regardless of where you are in the journey. If you scored 3 to 5 yes answers on the quiz, you're in what I call the gray zone, the place where standard labs still look normal, but the body is already starting to struggle. That actually is the best time to catch this. If you scored 6 or higher, your symptoms strongly suggest insulin resistance is already present, even if your doctor has called your labs normal. Either way, I personally respond to every person who emails me their score. You're not going to get an automated email sequence. You're going to hear from me personally. That is in the description below. The link is in the description below. And I want to speak directly to the person who has been told, maybe for years, that their labs are fine. That they just need to eat less and move more. That if they would just try harder, the weight would come off. If that's been your experience, I want you to hear this clearly. You weren't imagining it. Your body wasn't broken because of a character flaw. Something is metabolically off, and the standard screening has missed it because it wasn't looking for the right number. Fasting blood sugar doesn't catch insulin resistance early, but fasting insulin does. And when we finally understand what's driving the resistance, when we address the root cause instead of just telling someone to try harder, that's when things start to change. That's the whole reason I built the quiz series. 10 questions, 10 videos, each one explaining what that symptom actually means from a functional medicine perspective, and what lab numbers are worth knowing about. You deserve the information, and you deserve a doctor who will look for function, not just treat numbers. So here's where I want to leave you with today. If you struggle to lose weight even when you're doing everything right, that is not personal failing. It is a metabolic signal, and it deserves to be investigated with the right tools. Go take the 1-minute insulin resistance quiz in the description below. Answer the 10 honest questions, yes or no, and email me your score. I will personally send you back what your results mean, which lab numbers I'd look at in your situation, and the next step I'd consider if you were sitting in my office. This series continues with question 2, which is about that tired, foggy, can't keep your eyes open feeling after meals. If you've ever eaten lunch and then needed a nap, that video is for you. It's next in the series. I'm Dr. Kim, the insulin resistance doctor, and book a 30-minute consult with me. The link is in the description below. Know your numbers, change your future. I'll see you in the next video.